From the Crush Studio in sunny Florida, this is the Disney Crush Podcast. And now your two tempests in a teacup, Dave and Tony Ann.
On this week's The Disney Crush Podcast, Standby Skipper is back, and it's working with multi-pass lightning lanes. Our friend Glen Kessler will tell us how it worked for him on his latest trip. And Rebecca Rudin joins us to talk about their experience at Takumi-Tei, the high-end Japanese restaurant in Epcot. All this, plus some news and some silliness on this week's The Disney Crush Podcast. David?
Tony Ann.
Episode 356.
Yes, it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Standby Skipper. Multi-Pass now has a best friend called Standby Skipper. And if you're in the parks, you can have another best friend. You can add best friends anytime you want, and you might as well just add Standby Skipper as one of your best friends. Just add it on your My Disney Experience as one of your friends, and whenever you need them, you just, it will help you in the parks.
We're not getting paid by Standby Skipper, Dave. So you're really
I know.
late. Maybe we need to approach them.
Hey, guess what, Tony Ann? I've never even used Standby Skipper yet. I haven't even used it.
Okay, well,
so I'm going off of all the things that you said and what I'm thinking is going to be said tonight, and that's what I'm basing all of this.
Let's see what Glenn says, because I think he had some good and some bad. So we'll see if it's worth it for our listeners. We'll see. Our listeners can make the decision for themselves based on how Glenn made out this past week. And you have to understand, Glenn he's a real pro with the fast. He had gotten the fast passes down to a science. He had gotten Genie Plus even, which is, a lot of people stumbled with Genie Plus, but by the time it went away, he had that one pretty mastered. So, we'll see what he thinks. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm interested to find out, because like I always say, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough.
Yeah, it's not a big expense when you think about how much you're spending on the lightning lanes. It's $45 for 7 days for your whole family. So just one fee, $45.
That's up to 12
pays for
people,
up to 12
right?
people. So,
yeah, 12 people. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see how they did.
Or 25 a day.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but if you're going to be there for a couple of days, you might as well just get the 7 day.
Right. Exactly. If you're going to use it more than one day, you might as well get the week's worth. So I do have a little bit of news. Disney released pictures and some more concept art of the Polynesian Village Tower coming in December. And we got some new news that we hadn't known for sure. We kind of had some idea that there was going to have to be restaurants and things in the resort, but now we have a name and some concept pictures of it. It's going to be called Wailulu, and the Wailulu Bar and Grill, if I'm saying that correctly, I think I am. It's going to have flavors of Polynesia. It gets its name from the Hawaiian words wai, which means water, and lulu, which means calm, which is very fitting at this unique restaurant that will boast breathtaking views of the Seven Seas Lagoon. There's going to be spacious indoor and outdoor seating areas and a spectacular bar space with views of Cinderella's castle at Magic Kingdom. There's going to be a casual walk-up pool bar, and it will feature an all-day menu for lunch and dinner that is influenced by the Polynesian Islands' local indigenous ingredients. Specialty coffee and on-the-go morning pastries will be available for breakfast. The dining room will be adorned with dazzling Polynesian-inspired artwork created exclusively for the space, including floating tropical fish sculptures crafted from recycled materials and reclaimed fishing nets. So, it sounds like it's going to be beautiful. The pictures look beautiful, and that's exciting. They also released pictures of a splash pad that they're going to have there for the kids. It's going to be Moana themed. It's going to be a Moana themed splash pad for the kids. And there's going to be a new pool, the Cove Pool, which will be open for both Disney Vacation members and guests of the Polynesian Resort. there is going to be an area exclusive to people staying in the tower. It's going to be terrace gardens. Each terrace garden will feature tropical, vibrant artwork, lush foliage, and uniquely themed seating areas. Distinctly designed hideaways will offer families a serene locale to gather and take in the views of their stay. So this will be open only exclusively to guests staying at the tower.
Well, people are going to be really upset because what's going to happen? You know, they have to drain Seven Seas Lagoon, and they're going to put it all right there.
They're going to put it all in front of the Holly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that, you know, and I'm glad that they're putting Moana in the right place. Finally, they're doing something correct.
Yeah. So
finally, Disney, you did something correct.
It sounds like it's going to be beautiful. That opens in December. The projected, I mean, people have their, December 17th. People have already, made their reservations. So I'm hoping they'll be ready. I think they will, probably. Have you been over there lately?
No, I think the last time I think we didn't go there. I think we were on the monorail, but we just went on the loop.
Mm-hmm. I have, do you have any other news, Dave? Or?
No, I have no news.
Okay.
I have no breaking news this week, Tony.
No, and they still haven't told us where Monsters is going. Maybe we can, like every week, say, do we know where Monsters is going? No, we don't know.
No, we'll never know.
We don't know where Monsters is going. I have a little bit of Facebook, so if you do an intro for your number one fan.
Oh, a little bit of Facebook this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this week's the good. Oh, wait a minute. That's making a little noise. Oh, why is that making noise?
Squeaky.
Oh, this week's the good, the bad, and the ugly of Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry. Walt Disney World guests, I'd like to give you an announcement, please, that Rise of the Resistance is down again. Please check your My Disney Experience apps and or a cast member, and they will tell you when it is back up. Or you can skip over to Magic Kingdom and ride the brand new Tiana's Bayou Adventure. What? Excuse me? What is that? What? I'm sorry. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is also down. Please check your My Disney Experience app, and it will let you know when it's back up. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day.
Bing.
You know what never goes down? Alien Swirling Saucers. That ride never goes down.
No, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I don't think I've ever seen it go down. No, but what you're saying is Tiana's is really been afflicted. People are saying that it's down, a lot. People are saying they haven't gotten to ride it. They've been on, a week-long vacation, and every time they get a lightning lane or, in the virtual queue, it goes down and they can't ride it.
Yeah, I know. Rise has been our little Achilles heel as far as rides breaking down, but now Tiana's Bayou Adventure is right there with it.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. So this is a what would you do type thing. Hey, everyone. I'm wondering if anyone has any helpful information for me. This is from a Disney fairy tale weddings group that I'm in. Don't ask me why I'm in a wedding group. Our wedding is on September 13th at the Tower of Terror, and we originally were told that our weather backup would be Disney Junior and the Brown Derby. Recently, we had a meeting with our coordinator who informed us it was changed to Pizza Rizzo. We were in absolute shock and devastated, as this is a really expensive wedding and a black tie event, and this is most certainly not what we wanted, nor were we ever informed that this would even be a possibility. We let our coordinator know this was absolutely heartbreaking and not okay, and we begged if there were any options anywhere else on Disney property. This was over a week ago, and we still have no update, so we are truly worried. Has anyone else ever had an experience like this? We are trying to brace ourselves while also remaining calm and quite anxious. So they paid for a wedding, or they're paying for a wedding on the Tower of Terror Terrace, which is an outdoor. I've seen this area because, like I said last week when we were talking, I've seen a lot of the party and event spaces because of planning, when we were planning the fireworks party for G3 that time. And there is an outdoor patio at Tower of Terror, which is really cool if you're getting married there. But if it rains, which is her wedding September 13th, there's a lot of afternoon and evening showers in Florida in September. The backup is Pizza Rizzo.
Wow.
I can't even imagine if you paid all that money. And I mean, the setting just is not the same.
No. Mm-mm.
Paying for Tower of Terror views and you're getting Pizza Rizzo views.
Yeah. But didn't you say that place has got a nice little spot up there to hang out?
It does, but not for if you're paying all that money. I know that those locations, those in-park wedding locations are not cheap.
No, but you know what? I think you have to be a little more diligent and kind of look and see what else they have available. Kind of like your party. Remember your birthday party? When we first started looking at your birthday party, we were going to do it, I think, inside somewhere. And I think they quoted us, it was like $45,000.
Oh, that was Wine Bar George.
Yeah. Remember? And
that was Wine Bar George.
Maybe we won't do Wine Bar George. Maybe we'll do something else. I mean, we like Wine Bar George, but not that much.
Yeah. But this, I don't know. I never got an update from the bride what they wound up doing, but her wedding's in 3 weeks, so hopefully they figured it out. I don't know.
Well, it could be a misconnection. They don't make it work.
Bride, I saw you outside of Pizza Rizzo's in your wedding dress.
Oh gosh. Hey, it'd be something to talk about.
This one is
what?
This one is a cautionary tale. Make sure you check your park tickets after you attend the Halloween party. They let us scan in 14 minutes early for the event because the line to get into the park at the, I'm just trying to paraphrase this for them. There's a line for party guests and it starts to get crowded around 3:00. You can't get in until 4 with your party ticket. Around 3:45, because the line was so backed up and congested and going back into where the security is, they had to start letting people in. So they let people in at 3:45, 15 minutes early. And this lady, what it did was it took a ticket she had like a 4-day park hopper ticket, but she wasn't going to a park that day. She was planning on using her party ticket only. She had 4 other park days planned. So it took a day from her parks because they let her in 15 minutes early. So, yeah. So, she realized the mistake the next day. She saw that it said you have 3 days left on your ticket. And apparently guest services did make it right and said that, yeah, sometimes that happens. So I'm just telling people as a cautionary tale, if you're strictly using your party admission on your party day and they let you in a little early, even if they don't let you in a little early, just make sure they took the admission from the right place, that they took the party ticket and not your park admission. So yeah, people in the comments were arguing with her that could never happen, but it does, because other people said it happened to them too. And I could see how it would happen, because they're technically not supposed to let you in with that ticket until 4:00. Yeah. So being that it was 3:45, it took her park admission from the rest of her trip.
Okay, just don't go early.
Just be mindful.
Don't rope drop. Don't rope drop even the Halloween parties. Staying with Halloween parties, I got one. Here you go.
Okay.
I have to share our experience at the Halloween party tonight. This is not complaining, just sharing information. Got in an already long line at 6:45 for the Minnie and Mouse sipper. Minnie Mouse Sipper. After waiting for over an hour and being 4 people away from the window, they sold out. The people at the front of the line had been there since 4 o'clock. If you want a sipper, get there early. There were only 200 to 300 sippers available for the party that had tens of thousands of people. Mm-hmm. Also, don't get the buffalo chicken hand pie from Friar's Nook. It literally had 1 plastic fork full of chicken inside. The rest of it was empty air, kind of like the Dole Whip, if you will. If you know what I'm talking about.
Whole Whip.
Oh, the whole whip. Yes. Save yourself $10. I don't know. I know you've been to the Halloween parties, but I don't know. I just don't know. If it's
So
really, is it really worth it? Really worth it?
Oh,
Really?
it's fun. It's fun. I have seen these sippers, and I've seen other reports of people who said, yeah, they sell $2.50 a night. They sell $2.50 a night. And I've also seen reports where apparently there's a cast member that goes up and down the line and asks people, how many are you planning to buy? I think there's a limit on it. And they ask everybody, how many are you planning to buy? And he kind of counts and he lets people know, okay, you're going to be able to get one. You're going to be, and then they tell people, you know what? We're cutting off the line here. This is where it ends. So I'm surprised that lady got that far because usually by that point in the night, they would know. Mm-hmm. Where the cutoff was, because like I said, I've heard reports where they're going up and down the line counting how many sippers they need for the people that are already in the line. So I don't know. 250 a night is what I heard, which is what she said. 200 to 300 would be 250. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, she's right on the minute. She's on it.
It's a cute sipper.
Okay. Well,
it's really cute. She looks like the Sanderson sisters, Winifred. So.
Well, I'm sorry she didn't get it, but she got plenty of candy, I'm sure. So.
I guess so.
And I'm surprised that candy doesn't it melt all over the place before you get it back?
Some of it.
Yeah.
If it's hot, and sometimes, yeah. It's
just too hot. Gotta stand in line for, I don't know, characters and candy and I don't know.
It's fun. It's fun. I don't do it every year, but I don't know.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. You've done it.
It is hot in the costumes. I'm always hot in the costume, whatever. And I try to not be, but I'm still always hot.
Well, my costume.
One year
hardly anything to it. So
yeah, one year when I went with Mandy, we just wore like Halloween t-shirts, and that was probably the most comfortable I've ever been.
I'm just wearing a G-string.
You just wear a G-string.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Leopard skin G-string. And I'm good.
All right.
Nice and cool.
That sounds great. That sounds really great.
Thank you. That was some good, the bad and ugly of Facebook never disappoints.
No, so again, never.
Thank you, and thank you.
All right, Dave, I see our guests are here. We have our dear friends, Glen Kessler and Rebecca Rudin, who just got back from Disney. And I had asked Glen if he would do me a solid and check out Stand by Skipper and using it in conjunction with the MultiPass Lightning Lane program and see how it worked, because we knew it worked with Genie Plus and we weren't sure what was going to happen once it changed over to MultiPass. And so Glen agreed to go and do this exclusive research for us. And as I was saying at the top of the show, Glen had pretty much mastered Fast Passes when Fast Pass Plus was a thing, and he had mastered Genie Plus. So we wanted to see how MultiPass treated him. So, Glen, Rebecca, welcome to the show. Welcome back. And, Glen, so do you want to go park by park? Let's talk a little bit about Stand by Skipper. As I had said before, it's $45 for 7 days for up to 12 people, which is actually, when you think about the cost of your trip, even the cost of the lightning lanes, it's not a bad deal. It's actually a pretty good deal. And, the one thing you do have to know is you have to make it your friend in your My Disney Experience app, and everyone in your party has to be their friend. So you have to link everybody in your party. So if you're coming with friends, sometimes it's like you have to remind your friends, you accept this friendship request from Standby Skipper. But understand that as your friend, Standby Skipper cannot go in and change your dining reservations or your hotel reservations. They can't go in and mess with your stuff. And if you check that they can't see, you can only see the plans that they share with you. That's a good way to do it, to keep them out of your personal business if you're worried about that. And then you unfriend them as soon as your trip is over. You unfriend them, and you don't have to keep them in your friends list. If you're like me, you have 800 people in your friends list. So,
did you mention that it doesn't book your virtual queues or individual lightning lanes? Did you mention
no,
that?
it does not. It does not book your virtual queues or lightning lanes. And we weren't sure how it was going to work with the new system where you can sign up 3 to 7 days before your trip to sign up for your multi-pass return times. It does not do those pre-selections for you. It only works day of. So it's only going to get you your same day return times after you've already tapped into one of your pre-scheduled ones.
As you mentioned, it only runs for 7 days once you purchase it. So even if you had bought it, on a whim, thinking it could help you out with those 7 days, it would be useless by the time you got to your actual travel date. So, but it does not do that. No, it only does the regular lightning lane multi passes and only for the day that you start it until 7 days after.
Okay.
All right. And
so
a funny
let's talk. Go ahead.
story,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was unavailable when we started our trip, and
right.
on the 8th of August, and we were fully ready to proceed without it. And then it was gone from the App Store. You had documented that on the podcast, and then it magically just kind of showed up one day. They had figured out how to recode to match up with the new multipass, and I did not use it prior to this when it was Genie Plus. So I don't know if the interface looks the same or functions the same, but I did find it very easy, very graphical, very simple to use, large buttons,
right.
icons, cute little pictures to describe every ride. It was remarkably easy to use. So even if you are not tech savvy, if you can figure out My Disney Experience, you are way ahead of the learning curve of what you need for Standby Skipper. It's much easier even than that.
Yeah. It looks exactly the same. I looked at it. It looks like it did before. So can we go back to your 7-day pre-selection? Because I was very interested when we were talking about doing this. You had a trip planned in advance. You did your fast passes, not your fast pass, your return time, your lightning lanes at the 7-day mark plus because your trip went on beyond that. And you told me you didn't even get Tiana at the 7-day plus. It was like 9 days, right?
7 days plus 2. And we did not get Tiana at all. I saw it there. And in the time it took for me to click on it and pass through the multiple clicks to get to the end of the process, it had evaporated and it did not come back again. So I was very discouraged because I thought surely putting Magic Kingdom later in the trip, 2 days at least later in the trip, would facilitate the lightning lane. So I knew we were going to be able to probably get a virtual queue, and that would give us one ride at least if I didn't sleep through it, which is a whole other story, which I actually did. I was awake, but I just mentally slept through it. And then I was hoping that maybe the Standby Skipper could come and be the hero and find something unexpected for us. And we'll call that a tease and come back to that in a minute, see if it did.
So was there anything else besides Tiana that was hard to get at that 7-day point? Or was Tiana the only one that?
Tiana's the only hard one to get if you are like a super right on the ball, got to get it immediately kind of a person. But if you're a little slower to it, a minute slow or something like that, I would say Slinky Dog was the other one that by the time we got it, and I'm very fast on the buttons, we were already at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so that one was gone very quickly by the end of the day. You could look, and you can always go modify after you've gotten your 3 at each of the parks. locked it in, you can go back later and modify one experience at a time. But it'll show you what's available. And for Slinky Dog, it was completely unavailable. And maybe one tip, I know we're mostly focused on Standby Skipper, but for the Lightning Lane Multipass, if you've not done it yet, you go one day at a time, and then you close out and make a purchase of each day. You do not book all 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 days of your trip in one fell swoop, locking in as you go. You have to proceed through a transaction, enter your credit card information, wait for the spinning wheel of death to charge your credit card, go back and forth. It all takes time. So I know you and others have given advice. Please pick your most desirable, toughest to get Lightning Lane day first, no matter where it is in the itinerary. Come back and get the easy ones later when you know there's going to be time available.
Good advice.
Even if it says it's sold out, go ahead and go for it anyways. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you could try, but it's gone. But no, I'm just saying go after. So let's say, like we're talking about, Tiana's is really tough. You might even in your trip planning know this and say, we're not going to Magic Kingdom on our first day. That might be your regular routine.
Right.
We're going to go to Magic Kingdom for this round on our fourth day, give you 7 plus 4. But even though that's your fourth day and you might have all the other parks lined up first, make your Tiana Magic Kingdom purchase first. When you go on at 7 o'clock on the dot, 7 days in advance, go for Magic Kingdom right off the bat. Get Tiana first, lock that one in, get the other 2 tier 2s that you want, lock those in, and then make that purchase to make sure that you've got that. And you don't have to rely on luck or, dust or whatever.
Maybe save Animal Kingdom for last.
Definitely. Yeah. No tears there and no troubles.
Yeah. Okay.
It was supposed to, this whole thing is supposed to reduce stress.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's more stressful.
Yeah. Reappropriated the stress. The stress is in a different place now, a different time.
Right.
I will say this though. It's very good to be able to book all of these ahead of your trip and not have to wake up every morning at 7 a.m. to do this. And so chunking it all together 7 days ahead when you're at home, probably. Is much better than having to wake up every darn morning, especially if you've had a late night.
Right.
Magic Kingdom was open till 1 a.m. One of the nights we were there. I cannot imagine staying till 1 a.m., maybe getting on a ride at 12:55, getting them back to my resort at 2 a.m., and then having to wake up and set an alarm for 6:50 to be wide-eyed to get Lightning Lane. So this is a benefit. I'm happy that they've changed it.
Right. Did you every day make 3, or did you have days where you only made 1 or 2? Or you always made 3?
Yeah, we always made 3. We had a couple of strategies. You want to speak to a strategy that you came up with that I thought was really good?
Yeah, just because as soon as you tap into one, you can make another one. And if you want to get another tier 1, you need to do that. Sorry, Dr. earlier in the day. So we were just discussing what rides are closest to the entrance to the park and trying to make that for as early in the day as possible. So Spaceship Earth was one that we were talking about because you walk right in, tap in, and you can get another tier 1.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge maximizer, and I love the gamesmanship of playing, whether it was Fast Passes or Genie Plus and now Lightning Lane Multipass. And as people are coming back with stories, it's my favorite hack so far is that once the day starts and you are tapping into tiers, disappear. There is no more tier 1, tier 2. That only exists for your pre-planning. The tier 1 and the 2 tier 2. Right. After you walk into the park and you tap that first one, and like Rebecca was saying, pick one at the front of the park. You tap into Spaceship Earth. You don't even have to go on the ride. You've eliminated, you go on the ride because you can only use it once, but tap on it and then immediately start booking anything you want, any tier. So at Epcot, you could very quickly, if you had, let's say, gotten Remy as your 7 days ahead Lightning Lane, you could then go and grab Frozen Ever After if it was available. And as soon as you tap into your next Turtle Talk with Crush, tier 2, go get Soarin', which will be available, and very quickly lock in all 3 of the tier 1s and have those sitting there pretty for you to use whenever you need. And I don't know if everyone knows, but you can only redeem a ride once on Lightning Lane Multipass. You cannot, the old days of going, I remember going on Haunted Mansion about 5 times in a row.
Right.
Just over and over and over again. You can't do that anymore. One time only.
Okay.
So have a little bit of strategy and have some filler rides in between those other ones. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. And I would even go more broad and say there's some parks that you don't need it because there just aren't enough rides to only be able to ride them once to warrant the cost. And then I'll give a little qualifier on that later. I think Animal Kingdom is that park. But strangely enough, I would actually recommend, I'll save this tip for the end. I would actually recommend you buy the Lightning Lane Multipass for Animal Kingdom every day of your trip if you have a hopper or an annual pass. In that way.
Okay. All right. So, Standby Skipper, you said it was pretty easy to learn, and you tapped into Spaceship Earth, for example. What did you do with the skipper?
So as soon as you tapped in for the ride, the skipper, I should even back up.
No, even, because at midnight you could put what your preferences are.
That's a good point. Yeah. As soon as the day clicks over, and not a minute before, I tried, but as soon as the day clicks over, you can go on to Standby Skipper app and tell it what are your priority rides that you want it to look for. You could put 1, you could put 5 of different rides, but for each of them, you get a couple of button choices. One would be anytime, the other would be first available, and then you would have morning, afternoon, and evening, I think are the 5 options you have available to you. And it tells you in the app what the time range is for those, so you have a general idea. We always put down first available because we were trying to use them and burn them early. But if you're stacking for later, I guess you could put later in the day. We did that once, but you can plug those in there. We almost always just had one as our single focus. We wanted it looking for it, and it was usually a tier 1, and it was usually something that was harder to get. And we were hoping that the Standby Skipper could work its magic, cycling through and find it for us when we didn't want to be just sitting there on our phones. And, it did it. That's exactly what it does. And that will be my recommendation at the end of our talk today, is to think of it as a workhorse while you're doing other stuff. But to your very specific question that you just asked, tap in for that first ride and then forget about it? No, because the Standby Skipper isn't immediately clicking on knowing that you walk through that tap style and now it's searching. You will be first to the app. So as soon as I would tap in, I'd go onto my Disney experience and I'd look and see what was available. A couple of times I selected, a couple of times I didn't, and I waited to see how long it would take the skipper to find it. And it takes the skipper like 20 minutes was, my small anecdotal experience that I found.
Really?
So yeah, it must be on a circuit, on a cycle of some length. I don't know, but it did not find them as quickly as I was able to find them manually while you're standing in the rest of the line in the queue, standing Spaceship or something like that. So if you know that you want to go after something, go immediately after it by hand, by manual. If it's not there, let Standby Skipper do its magic. If it is there, go ahead and book it yourself.
Okay. Yeah. See, when I used it with Genie Plus, it really did. Like I tapped and I walked a little bit in the line and I'd look, it got me frozen. Like right after I tapped. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's a glitch with the new program or I don't know.
And again, that's just my anecdotal experience. I let it do that probably 2 or 3 times to let it go and see how long it would take to get it.
Okay.
We were also looking for more difficult rides.
That's true.
So I think it probably depends what you put as your priority.
Yeah.
I think if we had something that's readily available, it might have found it faster, but we already had booked those ahead of time. Most of the time, that's not what we were looking for.
One time I did look for Jungle Cruise and they were available and it didn't find it. And then I had to go manually do it. I want to say that was maybe 5 or so minutes in. So it didn't find it in 5. And, I would, again, just based on my anecdotal experience, it felt like about 20 minutes. that it was maybe cycling through or something like that.
You had said you'd put in first available, but what I did when I used it was if I didn't want to ride it, if I only wanted to ride it in the morning, I would put morning so that it wouldn't, if it found a 2:00, it wouldn't take it and it would keep looking for a morning. Cause if you put first available and it sees a 2:00, it'll grab that 2:00, but I don't want 2:00. I want 11:00. So I would be a little bit more specific than first available, depending on that trip.
We did it a couple times for afternoon.
Yeah. If you're stacking for later.
We were trying to stack for like 7:00 return time back to the park. And that did work really well for us. But our strategy was almost like, let's see what it can get. We were also doing research, let's see what it can manifest no matter what the time is. And the way that it works, you get an alert, a little pop-up notification on your phone, a buzz on your watch or, in your pocket, whatever you've got it set to. So it lets you know that you have a new little gift. And if you don't like it, like you're saying, if it got you at 2 p.m., but you want to ride that before noon, before lunch, you can immediately go and back into My Disney Experience. You'll want to cancel that ride, and you'll have to go back again because it's Standby Skipper. Because once it's found it, it then removes itself. It cycles itself from active search to past search, and you would have to go and start it up again. And make your new selection there.
And I know we're probably making it sound more complicated than it is because it really is very user friendly. I found it to be. I don't know. So, was there anything it couldn't get you?
Frozen. Yeah.
It didn't get you Frozen?
We could not get Frozen. We had it left for first available or whatever, the catch-all one the entire day because that was our plan, was to walk in, slap into Spaceship Earth, which we did pretty well. We weren't there like right at rope drop 8:30 because we were pre-rope drop as resort guests. We were elsewhere in the park. But we made it to Spaceship Earth, I want to say, within the first half hour and tapped in there and got it looking, and it never turned up.
Really? That's interesting. Was it down at all that day? Do you know?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I wasn't like hawking it the whole day, but
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's interesting because I don't know.
Well, it was.
Sorry that happened to you.
It was up through the day because we would check the wait times. I don't know if it was down when we weren't looking. But
you told me that you spaced out king of the virtual queue. I mean, people who know Glenn know that his friends go to him and say, will you get me a virtual queue for Tron?
So you're saying maybe my friends won't come to me now and ask me to do that? Fabulous. Let's tell this story, Tony Ann.
You messaged me and you said I spaced out and I forgot. I didn't realize it was 7:00.
I know. Yeah. Harrison and I were up. So this was our trip was two parts. First, it was just a father and son trip with my boy Harrison, and then the rest of the family came later. But we were sitting, just he and I, at the bus stop at Animal Kingdom. First bus that we're trying to catch, the first bus. I'm all excited. And 6:50 led to 6:58, led to 7:08. And then the bus came and I was like, oh, no. It was our Magic Kingdom day. I missed Tiana's virtual queue. And it was the first day of our Standby Skipper. And I put all my faith in the old Standby Skipper. And I said, Harrison, I'm going to try to get you the 1:00 queue. I can't believe I spaced out. I was doing nothing. I was playing like Wordle or something like that. Probably talking to you. And, and missed it entirely. But fast forward, we were able to get the 1:00 virtual queue and Group 81 or something like that, put it at like a perfect time in our schedule, kind of right on the cusp of darkness. It was very enjoyable to get it a little bit later. So maybe that is a little blessing in disguise. And on this particular day, the Standby Skipper was the hero. We did not expect to go on Tiana at all, really, hoping that the virtual queue would manifest. And we were over at that side of the park. And of all things, the Standby Skipper found it by 11 a.m. We came out of Country Bears Jamboree, at 10:55. Or was that the second day? That was the second day. That was how it was. That was how.
So it happened more than once.
It did happen. Yeah, it happened both times that we were there. Standby Skipper found the lightning lane, and just amazing. Because for the Harrison trip, I didn't even pre-book anything. We were not expecting to buy the multi-pass for that day, but our plans changed around a little bit, and I needed it. So obviously Tiana was gone at that point, just a day beforehand. When we enacted the Standby Skipper, but the Standby Skipper saved the day for us, and we were able to ride it twice that day.
Very cool. Very cool.
I would say this, if we're wrapping up on our conversation about it, Tony Ann, I would say this. It's amazing for finding gold. Okay. And working while you're not working on it. You know, like if you're like we were obviously on the second time we were at Magic Kingdom with the whole family, we're sitting in Country Bears Jamboree, and I get a buzz in my pocket, check it as we're walking out the door. We can go on Tiana right now, 5 minutes from now. Great. That's all Standby Skipper. I got to enjoy the great new Country Bears. It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I can't wait to see it.
For everyone to ride it or watch it, listen to it, sing to it, because you'll actually know all the lyrics now. But
I knew all the lyrics before.
Did you? Yeah. Die Hard. So, I would think of it not as something that's going to save you time on your phone. And that's really the important thing, because if they're advertising that this is going to make it so you don't have to be on your phone in MDE, I do not think that is accurate. At least the way we like to tour the parks and maximize, and that's kind of the whole point of having Standby Skipper, to maximize all the rides. It is going to find those unexpected things, but I found that between entering what I want, planning my day, editing after it got something, maybe that's not what I want, re-editing, strategizing, where are we in the park, what do we want to do next? I was in my phone as much
anyway
as I always am. So I would not think of it as that, but would I advocate for getting it? 100%. I would get it every time at $45 for 7 days. And it depends on the length of your trip. Maybe one day it's not worth it, but for 7 days and 12 people potentially. I mean, this is giving, it gave us Tiana's twice. It gave us Jungle Cruise. It gave us, what was the other one?
How did it do in Hollywood?
It did wonderful. Yeah, we got everything in Hollywood. We got all the Toy Story Mania and all the Toy Story land rides, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, Mickey and Minnie's. We didn't ask it to get Millennium Falcon because we rope dropped that and someone got sick. We will not do that again. The driving was actually decent, but you never know how that ride's going to do. But no, I think that it makes a lot of sense for even probably 2 days. I think I would justify the cost. But certainly if you're there for more than that, I think that it more than pays for itself. So that I thought was very good. If I can give a couple of strategies.
Yeah, please.
All right. So we mentioned, book your most preferred tier 1 and your top and your 2 top tier 2s at the pre-booking window. But then as soon as you get in, drop your second favorite tier 1 into the skipper or double dip on it. If you want to rope drop your second favorite. So for example, let's take Epcot or something like that. So if you love Remy and you get your pre-booking for Remy, go ahead and don't rope drop Remy unless you want to do it twice. Go over to Frozen, rope drop that, and then set up the skipper to start getting all the rest of those. And again, if you can tap in, especially if you can tap in early for something like Spaceship Earth and get it working even faster, that's a great benefit. So think of it like that. I would say also schedule, and we kind of mentioned this, schedule 1 tier 2 for park opening, tap in as soon as you get in, and then either look yourself or get skipper looking for those tier 1s. And then my tip of all hack of all hacks, which is a little bit of work, but if maximizing is your strategy and you're finding things hard to get, annual pass holders and hopper tickets might want to start every single day of your trip at Animal Kingdom. Why? Because
Why?
it opens up an hour before all 3 of the other parks.
I didn't think of that.
It's also cheaper.
And
It's the cheapest.
And it's the cheapest. Each park has a different amount. Animal Kingdom was $10 cheaper than Magic Kingdom every day that we were there. It was $17 versus $27. Buy that $17 Animal Kingdom, go in there at 7:30 a.m., tap into your first ride. It could be, tough to be a bug.
Yeah.
And then go book all 3 of the top tier ones at any park that you want to go to an hour before anyone else who's actually registered to go to those parks can. And they do release, this is something we found out, obviously, they do not release every possible Lightning Lane multi-pass 7 days ahead of time. That would be a terrible strategy for anyone who's coming to the parks other than super pre-planners. So they release these at the beginning of the day. We noticed that huge blocks were starting to become available right at park opening.
Okay.
So you can get whatever's left, from pre-7 days in that, let's say 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. window before the parks open while you're at Animal Kingdom. And then as soon as 8:30 clicks over, you don't have to run to a tap style like someone else has to run from the gate into Spaceship Earth. Then you're already able to modify or pick up other Lightning Lane.
That's cool.
Multi-pass formerly tier number 1. So great strategies there. I hope you guys can make yourself.
You don't think you think outside the box.
Yeah, well, I like the games. This is what I love about Disney, frankly. It's a finite, although massive universe, but it's finite. And it has rules that are easily knowable, I think, but have some nuance. And no system is perfect. And we try to find the legal. Nothing we're doing here is like illegal,
the loopholes.
But the loopholes or the way to maximize it. And, pour yourself at Animal Kingdom for an extra hour and then start doing this. Don't just go in like a maniac, tap in and run onto a bus over to your next park, which nobody did that on this trip. That's
okay. All right. Dave, you going to get Standby Skipper multi-pass?
No, I don't care about the ride.
I already wrote it. Yeah, how does Mr. I don't watch movies twice go to amusement parks? You've written on everything.
It's different. Glenn.
It's different. Okay. All right. So the second topic that we were going to talk about tonight, which is don't even know how we're going to segue to this, but when Gina Simpson was on a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned that if Dave was paying for dinner at Epcot, I wanted to go to Takumi-Tei. And it just so happens that Glenn and Rebecca went to Takumi-Tei in the Japan Pavilion. It's kind of been on our bucket list for a while, and you guys actually went and did it. Rebecca, do you want to speak to what to the kind of menu it is and what people can expect?
So it's an omakase menu. They have 2 options. One is whatever the chef is giving you, and then there's one plant-based or vegetarian option. They just changed the pricing. Plant-based used to be a little less expensive, but now it's the same price. It is 7 courses, I believe, but even within the 7, it's multiple. So it's not just 7. For that price, we got many more than 7 courses.
What is the price?
$250 per person.
$250 per person. Okay.
Yep. And then there's also wine or sake pairings, or they have, cocktails and glasses of wine if you want. Mm-hmm. The menu changes seasonally, I would say, but there are 5 themes that they go by, and I guess it's kind of seasonal, but it may be a little more than seasonal. So 5 versus 4.
I felt like the 5 themes were the rooms.
They were the rooms, but I thought that he said
the food also followed that a little bit.
I thought so, but maybe they're about like kind of nature, I would say. It was
well, let's explain that a little bit.
Wasn't it water, paper, something like
paper, water.
Well, when you first walk in and I assume if people are listening to this, they're either very curious and are never going to go. So, listen to how it is.
Where in the Japan Pavilion is it? Because it's kind of tucked away, isn't it?
Or they want to go and cover your ears a little bit. But it is beneath the Teppan Edo and Shikisai portion of that Mitsukoshi building. It's to the right. You would absolutely miss it. It has the most modest, hidden almost entrance that you would ever know. They don't have a lot of bombast. I think they have a lot of misinterpretation about what it is. Rebecca will share a very humorous story in the lead up. They want to make sure that you know that you're coming to Takumi-Tei and not thinking that you're coming to a hibachi or something else.
Yeah, so they send you an email ahead of time, and it's a very funny email. It tells you 4 or 5 times in the email, are you sure that you know that you're coming to this restaurant? Are you sure that you know you're getting an omakase menu and you can't pick what you get to eat? Are you sure that you know you're spending $250 per person? And then it told us other funny things like the dining room is cold. You may want to bring a sweater. Or it was just
charming, actually.
It was kind of funny, but we actually asked Kurumi,
our waitress, who was amazing, Kurumi.
But we even asked her, that was a really funny email. And she said that people book it thinking that it's the hibachi restaurant.
Right.
And then come, and they get a lot of cancellations because of that.
And this is a place that cannot afford cancellations. They are using the highest quality materials. They are ordering it to be fresh and deliverable on that day.
Right.
So they need people to come through with their reservations and not cancel. So they take pains to make sure that and you're not going to use that 2-hour Disney window to back out.
I will say that when we went to Monsieur Paul, they did do that too. They called and said, but that was 15 minutes before we were leaving to go there.
I think were we even standing outside of the restaurant or something? And so this I got 2 or 3 days before, and she told
that makes
us
more sense.
They know how many people they're serving every day. I don't remember if the email asked which menu you wanted, but they said they prep if they have 100 guests that night, they're prepping 100 pieces of fish and 100 servings of steak, and they're not no more, no less, and they don't want to have to throw that away or waste it.
That makes sense.
All right, so let's get to the front door. You are greeted, and it's elegant and a little bit restrained. From minute number 1, from second number 1, an adorable hostess, I hope you get one, greets you and is just bowing and demure and wonderful.
You just said demure.
Demure.
So on trend.
It is.
And welcomes you into the entrance room. The entrance room has got the 5 elements, and there's a sphere, a sculpture that represents each of the elements. There's plaques that describe it. You could spend a few minutes in there as the next fellow who talks to you, the next hostess or host, greets you and explains what's happening. Unfortunately, our host had such a thick accent. We had a very difficult time understanding. So I took some good photos and videos of everything so that I could read it again later. But yeah, basically water, clay or earth, paper, stone, and fire, I think was the other one. What was the last one? Wood. Wood was what we were in. And what those are, we didn't realize, those are the 5 dining rooms that they have inside of the larger restaurant. Now, you're completely enclosed within your element. So we were in wood, and we had no idea until we went to the bathroom, basically, started sneaking peeks in some of the other rooms, what was going on.
I came back, I was like, I think the rooms are the themes.
Yeah.
And the water room is non-functional at this point. I hope the water room works when you go. Yeah, it's under construction. I think it's flooded. I don't know. But they were all charming. Each one was adorned with the element, so as decoration. And so we got placed in a room that probably had 6 tables, maybe 8. It wasn't many.
Yeah.
And there were only 3 that were active, including ourselves. So it was not packed. It was not loud. And the meal begins as the entrance did, very formal, very, very proper. There's a lot of quiet talk and, opening the papers and hand towels to clean the hands, warm hand towels, and, all that. It
is very traditional Japanese.
Nice.
Like, having been to Japan restaurants like that, I do think it was like as authentic, I think, as they could make it.
In a theme park.
Yeah, right. Oh God, no, I did not feel like I was in a theme park. Like after 2 minutes, really, after we got into that first room and he was speaking with his thick accent, I was like, we're not in Kansas anymore. This is a luxe experience. We could be in New York, LA, DC. This really feels like we've been transported into a wonderful, experience. And you want that with omakase. You want to feel like you're every moment is kind of scripted and you can just put yourself in their hands. So the next question was traditional or plant-based. Which omakase did you want? Those are the only choices, except for which entree. There was a really modest choice between, for us, and it'll be different next season, between Wagyu or lobster in the main. And then you had choice from 3 different desserts. And we chose 2 different ones there. We both chose on our server's recommendation. I kind of wish we had chosen one of each for the entree. So we could have tried, but it's hard to turn down Wagyu. The Wagyu was not presented in a way that really felt very Wagyu-y. It was incredibly thin. It did not feel or taste to me like the Wagyu I've had. That was honestly the only miss for me of the whole meal. I thought. Yeah.
I've had it like that.
I did not like it like that. And then the desserts. So after that, the next question would be, you're drinking. So the wine connoisseur will speak to that, I think.
Well, Glen got sake, but I really don't like that. So I asked about the wine pairing, because as we know at Disney, a lot of the wines are from California.
Right.
And that was no exception.
Which is not my favorite.
Right.
So I was very, especially at the price point we were paying, I wanted to ask some questions, but they had a whole brochure about one of the wineries that went into like great detail about the grapes that they grow, the owner, the grower, the architect, like that you could really look through. So I went with it, and it was actually 3 French wines and 2 California wines. So a little different than I expected.
And I got the sake pairing. So they have a sake pairing. They have the different wine pairings. And when you order that, you get a map a map of the globe shows where your or mine was just a map of Japan, because all of mine were from Japan, but because hers were international, she got a map of the globe, and it told you not just a little bit about the wine or the sake that you were drinking, but it gave guidance on which of the courses you should be consuming it with. So you knew to consume this within, course number 1, savor this one between 2 and 3, and gave great pacing. And I thought the sake at least was well paired. What did you think about the wine?
No, the wine was well paired.
The wine was well paired too?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. For price as well. What was yours? 120?
Yours was, the sake is 120 and the wine is 150.
120 and 150. Okay. So, it's not a cheap meal. Yeah. We'll get to the total. Yeah.
If I remember when we were in France, in Monsieur Paul, it was $65 for the wine pairing. Yeah. So that is a jump. Great but it wasn't paired to the entree you chose. No, that was
that's why we didn't get it. But still, like $60 versus $150. I don't know.
It's a jump.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It was more glasses though, because I think at Monsieur Paul it's 3 glasses, and I had 5. And you had 6.
I had 6, and you had
Okay.
So it is more. It's
all right.
double.
So you had was the Wagyu the first course?
No.
No. Okay. So he jumped. What was the first course?
Well, each course was like 3 or 4 courses.
Okay.
But one of my favorite things was in the first course.
It was actually the first bite we ate. And it was not that it was the first bite that we ate. It was legitimately, I think, the best thing that we had. So you want to describe it?
Yeah, so the first course had 3 dishes. Our favorite thing was a white miso soup, which is different than the miso soup we get at home. We get a red miso, I think she said, at home. It had a panko fried piece of tofu with some wasabi, which doesn't probably sound like it's very special, but it might have been my favorite thing we had the whole meal.
Yeah, the miso is so buttery and so salty and just a little bit fishy, just the tiniest little bit fishy. And the bite of the lightly fried tofu was like a savory marshmallow. I don't know quite how to but it was like the most delicious savory marshmallow texture and with all this buttery flavor with it. We said, like, do they sell this in cauldrons? Because we're done. Just omakase this to pay for this. Yeah. So that was the first of 3. And then the second one was also very good.
Yeah, the other 2 I'll go quickly because we have a lot of courses. But there was uni over rice, so kind of sushi, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uni is sea urchin, for those who don't know. Yeah.
With some shaved, I don't even know how they made the egg this thin, but it's basically an omelet, but it was cut into like these thin strips. It looked like a vegetable julienne kind of.
Yeah, like a half a matchstick, smaller than that of
omelet.
Of egg.
And also this meal was very jelly forward. I don't remember which jelly was on top of this, but they made every sauce into a jelly for some reason. And then the third
and that was
course,
over
rice.
Over rice, yeah.
The third course was a tuna salad. So it was tuna, avocado, and cucumber.
Okay. You don't like avocado, right?
I don't, but it was okay. These were all fine. I had a moment during the meal that Glen thought I was going to just get up and leave. But I think that was course 3.
I can't wait to get to that one. See what you're going to say. No, you were so brave during this course because you are a fine eater. You are fairly adventurous, but you have your texture
likes and dislikes.
Likes and dislikes. And yeah, avocado and
mayonnaise
and milky, snotty consistencies are not going to do it for you. More on that later.
Yum.
And the cute way that she kind of described this was your starter. It was like that last one that she described was the salad. The first one was your soup. I can't remember what she analogized the other one to with the egg and the rice. But she was like, oh, this is a typical way that you would start any
Japanese
Japanese meal is going to be with soup and salad and one other thing. And so it was charming. It was a nice new take, and the presentations are beautiful. When you post this on the Facebook page, I'll be sure to put all of our photos.
Great. Wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Second course. We're going so slow. Second course was sashimi on top of what was it? Shiso leaf, I believe. But there were four different fish. It was all high cut, stuff. So raw scallop, probably our favorite, always buttery, delicious, very sweet if you've never had. And then fatty toro tuna. So that was melt in your mouth, so good. And then two other white fish. Do you remember which ones?
And aji.
Aji, A-J-I.
Mm-hmm. So I don't remember the English names, but one I think might be sea bream.
Sea bream is mad-eye.
And is the other one amberjack?
I think so. It's Kona or amberjack is the aji.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But white fish, very fresh. It's got
it was just
very little flavor. You don't want your fish, your sashimi to have a lot of flavor because that means it's turned if it smells fishy. Right. But very clean and just a hint of, again, kind of buttery and fresh flavor. And then they had more jelly, chrysanthemum jelly, which was this one. Was
jelly.
So much jelly and so beautiful.
You never would have thought I would eat this much jelly, Tony.
Chrysanthemum jelly.
Yes.
Yeah, flavorless, really. Just a hint of chrysanthemum. I think mostly for everything, and we're not showing you the pictures, but everything is beautiful. Everything is so beautiful. So it's sitting on this plate. I'll try to hold that up. It's sitting on this plate. And what's yellow is the chrysanthemum jelly.
That's
so we'll post that in the little yellow cubes if you're looking at that. It's beautiful stuff.
The next course was the tough one.
Oh yeah, the next course was 7. The presentation's beautiful. 6 in a circle, 1 in the middle, a tall cup in the middle, and 6 short ramekins around it. Each one with something completely unique and really interesting in it.
Basically a bite each.
A bite
or two each little thing.
Yeah, definitely not shareable. So we began with.
Well, she suggested because there were some veggies, then some fish, and then ended with eel, which is also
it's heavier
from the sea, but like
so cleanse your palate with the veggies between.
Yeah, start light.
There was like
start light and get gamier as you go. Yeah. So we started with the
path did me wrong.
Oh no!
The first three were misses for you.
The first one was it?
Well, the first one was this one.
No.
What was the first one?
So the first one was a mushroom over spinach.
Oh, that's right. That was the first one.
And there was a cream sauce on top, which the look of it thought I wasn't going to like it. But it was actually tofu.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was different a little bit than the texture than I would have thought. It was very nutty.
Okay.
So
that one I was okay, but it was already like a little bit of a hurdle. The second one was this.
The second potato. One, can I say, the second one, she said it was potato. There was no way looking at this that you could have ever guessed that it was potato. I would put this image in front of you.
Potatoes did me wrong.
I would put, yeah, that's right. I would put this in front of you and you would have sworn it was salmon because it was bright orange, had like layers to it. Maybe something else, maybe trout, like steel trout or something like that with the orange. No, it was a pure vegetarian little bite. It was bright orange, and when you bite into it, although the texture on the flavor on top was pretty good, the citrusy
the flavor on top it was like good. A miso something. But.
Somehow they had rendered this potato into squeaky cheese, like you might have
like paneer,
like terrible paneer from the India kiosk,
but like worse, like chewier and a little tougher,
little gelatin. We were just showing and showing.
I swallowed it
whole.
Almost.
Did you?
I couldn't chew it. I couldn't do it.
We were so perplexed. We asked our waitress, Karumi, what the heck? How did they do that to potato? And she went back to the kitchen and
she wrote down the recipe for
us
and
chef,
asked how they did it.
What do you use? And it was, I don't know if I wrote it down. It was calcium hydroxychloride or something like that. Some like
so
additive.
It was like molecular gastronomy that made it like that.
Wrong.
Okay.
Gone wrong. Yeah. Transformed. So one was a little dicey for her because of how it looked, but it tasted okay. It was smoky and nutty and good. The second one, we're like, no, that's weird. Now our faith in them has been shattered. So when we moved on to the third one, which was the cup, the tall cup, and it had the most gorgeous, gigantic coho salmon roe inside with the big orange ones that burst in your mouth, give you that salty and a little bit fishy kind of burst like a boba ball. That looked great on top, but underneath was this white it was silken tofu, semi-liquid, semi-solid. When you grab it with your chopsticks, it like liquidly falls out of the chopsticks. It was a challenge to get it up to your mouth in time. The texture was awful. I'm not squeamish, and this one had me going. I ate all of mine and all of hers, but that didn't stop. But it was almost, she almost had to go to the bathroom early.
Really?
That one. Yeah.
So bad.
And I just want to remind our listeners that Rebecca is an adventurous eater. She's an adventurous eater. Just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super brave. Super
Everything
bold.
else was excellent. Those 2 bites.
Okay.
Almost did.
So they redeemed themselves.
They did.
Yeah.
I think we went with the egg.
Yeah. The next was egg. Just like you.
Tamago.
Yeah. Like
big piece.
at a sushi restaurant. Then what did we do next? Oh, then there was fish. So one was, I think this was tuna with a little lime and another type of jelly.
There was a ponzu jelly. They had transformed ponzu sauce into a gelatin and then chopped it or smashed it or somehow atomized it. So it was the size of like regular roe, like tiny little granules. This one was
That
almost.
actually sounds like it could be refreshing.
It was very
it
good.
was good.
And I'm glad you said refreshing. It had a lime on top. I mean, it really was. That was the palate cleanser.
Was that salmon? I don't know if I said salmon or tuna. And the next one was tuna in like a vinegary.
Yeah, I think the first one was salmon. This one now that you're describing is tuna. And this had like cabbage.
Onions and peppers.
Onions and peppers pickled on top of that. And then the final of the 7 was the
eel.
The eel.
Oh, the eel was the best of the lot. Glad that they went out strong because they started so weak on this plate. We were so worried. So we're back in their hands. 5 out of 7 ain't bad.
Right.
The immortal Meatloaf and Kurt Stone say. So we're ready for our next course. And meanwhile, all along the way, we're getting these outstanding wines. I think you're mostly white at this point. You hadn't switched to red. It hadn't switched to reds yet. And the sake was just unbelievable. There's dry ones and some fruity ones pairing up beautifully with these. And mine ends with an unfiltered, which is the white one that's got the sediment in it, which I really like those too. Very good stuff. The next course was very strange. This was a meat course, so we're surf and turf actually is what it was. It was two different elements. The surf was what was it? Flounder. It was just flounder. No, it was flounder. I remember because I always get flounder from Little Mermaid in my head. So I saw him around next. So we ate flounder, and this was also marinated in the white miso. This was the second best thing that we ate. White miso was the hero of the
meal.
Yeah, and then the other the turf was wagyu. It was these like little chunks that were wrapped in seaweed shiso. I'm sorry, shiso, and then a very light deep fry, and then topped with yellow vinegar sauce, which somehow was congealed, and a shiso flour on top. It looked beautiful. And it tasted good. 2 out of my 3 bites were hard. Hers, 1 out of 3 bites, I think you said, were hard.
They weren't hard. They were tougher than you would want Wagyu to be.
That's fair.
So I would consider it tough compared to like
anything,
any
like
other
a normal steak
that you're having.
Okay, all right.
Hard. It was
for
Wagyu. It wasn't as tender as it should have been.
For Wagyu on a $250 omakase, it was a little harder than I wanted it to be. And mine were the first 2 bites. Luckily, the third one I went in the right order was soft, and your first one was hard, and your second 2 was soft. Yeah, and they were great.
And they gave you this delicious salt on the side, yuzu. Was it yuzu salt and lime? So that you can like mix and match the flavors a little bit.
Nice.
And pickled, and then just as a little flourish in the middle, just a little pickled celery with edible gold leaf on top, just so you know.
Yeah. Nice.
On the gold leaf and the
jelly. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we were eating that salt. Now we're at the main, where we both chose the Wagyu.
Right.
It was in a broth that was delicious. The broth was great. Yeah, what would you say? It was kind of like a miso soup kind of broth,
It was a little thicker than that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was this, but more like beef stocky than
beef stocky
soup, I would say. Like a little richer, darker in color. And then there was mushrooms, bamboo, and Wagyu.
That was about it, yeah. That was it. And then the next course was another favorite. I thought this was a real hero. It was eel, but incredibly long. It's like a foot-long strip of eel wrapped over itself with a dollop of rice. Think of like the amount that you would get in a typical nigiri sushi. And this was amazing.
And there was black garlic, I think, on top.
Black garlic sauce on top. Yeah. That was great. As savory and It's just great. Eel is always great. It was remarkably similar, actually, to an item that we had gotten at Shikisai last year. That was also a kind of grotesquely large piece of eel. Like, whoa! I didn't expect it when it was on the menu. And did this one also come with miso soup? Actual miso soup.
Basically, like one you would expect that you're used to.
Yep. And that was it for the savory courses. And then our final course was our dessert course, and we each got different things.
But before dessert, they do a tea service.
As you're like
getting dessert.
They're doing a tea service.
So they make you fresh matcha. I don't know I'm sure if you wanted different tea that they would give you different tea, but they're like whisking it right in front of you, preparing it, pouring it and everything. So that was nice.
Beautiful.
And 2 desserts. I remember one was a pumpkin custard, I'm going to call it.
Yours,
with a caramel sauce on top. And that was actually very good. I was not expecting to like it because of the custard, the pumpkin, all the reasons why I wouldn't like it. And then
but it was actually good.
Oh, it was really good. And the other was a matcha cake with, I don't know what kind of ice cream.
Green tea cake with vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, black strap molasses, and cherville. I don't even know what that is.
It's an herb.
An herb. Okay, thank you. So that was good. It was ice cream, at the end of the meal, and it was very refreshing.
The cake was good too.
The cake was good too. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so that was lovely. And the tea, kind of finishes it off. And of course, by that point, we each had not only delicious food, but 4 or 5 drinks for her, 6, 7 for me. And the rapport that we had built up with our server, mostly because I'm insane, and I ask crazy questions like, how the heck did they turn that potato into that texture? Have netted some fun responses.
I think she was only with us.
She might have been. We were her only table.
Yeah, I don't think she was helping the other
maybe a
two
different
tables
dining
in our
room.
room, maybe in another room, but she was the other 2 tables in our room had someone else helping.
Okay.
Anyway, we had her with her. We got to know her really well. We had a good time with her. We got to know her name, Kurumi, and she will not be there probably the next time you go. She's 2 more months on her visa to head back. So we got her story. And we were joking and laughing with her by the end. And at the end, they do such charming little touches. I
don't know if that's her or them.
Oh, you think? Maybe.
Because she said every time I do it.
Okay. Results may vary. But she came out with handmade origami that she gave to each of us. Tiny cranes, and
I got a crane and you got a dragon.
I got a dragon. She got a crane. They were very similar. And then this incredibly gorgeous little mandala, medallion that she had written in the middle. She wrote us a note. Like it was actually made for us. It was not a generic one. She had written down some of the things that we had talked about and said, I hope you did have a great meal, and I hope you come back or whatever. It was just so. And so I immediately was so touched by my origami that I said, I'm going, that I was like, I'm going to name this origami. What should I call it? And Rebecca said, Kurumi. So now
her name.
We'll always remember our experience with Kurumi because I have my little Kurumi dragon that is sitting at my bar at home.
That's wonderful.
Anytime I want.
So I'm going to ask you guys, you eat in fine dining establishments around the world. How did this compare? Was it was it on the same level, or was it a little bit lower because it was in Disney, or how do you feel?
I think it compared. I think the service was great. I would say it might have been slightly more expensive, but slightly, not much, because it's in Disney, but still comparable to other places I've eaten around the world and restaurants of that quality.
If a Dasani bottle of water at the 7-Eleven by me is 95 cents and it's $4 at Disney, this was not that markup. This was maybe a little bit more.
$25 or $50 more.
Yeah, I would absolutely expect to pay for 7-course omakase with the level of care, ambiance, rapport, like the whole thing. I would expect to pay comparable, to what it was. So I would not consider it a deal, but if you're looking for a fine dining establishment at Disney and you're in, that adventurous palate, kind of mindset and you don't mind trying some new things, this was a win. I would put this on your radar. We had been looking forward to this since the day it was announced, not even the day it opened, which it caught, delay after delay after delay. But
right.
And then, of course, it didn't reopen when everything else reopened.
With COVID,
It was probably one of the last to reopen. So when it finally did come open, we had a lot of high hopes, Rebecca and I, for this meal. And it delivered.
And in true Glen fashion, we're the last people in the restaurant, basically the last people in Epcot. Because it took us 3 hours. They say 2 hours, it took us 3 hours. So also note.
We had the final seating of the night. 7:30 p.m. was their final seating, and we did not leave until 10:30.
Yeah.
Nice.
Glenn asked for me for a hug as we're leaving. This tiny, tiny little Japanese lady. She gave him a hug, and then he says, I'm a hugger. She's not a hugger. And she turns to me and goes, can you give me a hug? So then I had to give Krumi a hug as we were leaving the restaurant.
You loved it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Was so cute. Yeah, we really to go from the stilted formal beginning to hugging at the end and wishing her well on her trip back to Japan and taking little Kurumi home to care for always and forever. It was a wonderful experience. Definitely worth it. It was, if you're doing some of the math and adding up, we gave nice tips as well because she was so excellent. It was $500 out the door, each of us. And so you have to
each
know that.
Each.
Yeah.
Because it's $250.
Right.
If you do the pairing, you're in, let's call it $150 for round numbers. And then obviously
and then tipping. Yeah.
Tip on that.
Tipped
And
$100 at least. Yeah.
I'm telling you, she had another table. It was not visible to us. Like she was
totally attentive
with
to us
the whole time.
I had my back to the restaurant, so I didn't know when she was coming. And so it was like, as soon as we were done and the second later you would have wanted something, boom, she was there with the next bottle for our wine and sake pairings. She let us take pictures. She was right there with the food. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And, I hate to say it, Tony Ann, but, comparing it to our most recent, very expensive meal at Monsieur Paul, which was less, but not much less.
No, not much less.
This was a night and day kind of difference.
Really?
We felt incredibly cared for, and the food delivered with a couple of funny misses.
But those are not misses for everyone. Yeah. Those were misses for
preferences.
That was a miss for everyone on the potato.
Potato was a miss.
Potato, I don't know.
But yeah, it was.
I would go back.
Well, that's the fun thing. Every season it'll be different. So
that's true.
And she said you can now choose, now that you've been here, just like they said in Monsieur Paul, now that you've been here, you can start calling some shots. So you could say, I'd love to sit in the stone room or the water room if it ever comes back online. Yeah.
She also explained that they just changed chefs. So when they changed the menu, the pricing of the menu, they just got a brand new chef from Japan.
Yeah.
And she said that if you had gone before this chef, it was like much more toned down, much more Americanized, like, more understandable to everyone. She said this new chef, it's authentic, it's traditional, like it's innovative, but he wants it to be like a true Japanese dining experience.
That's great. And you'd go back. So.
Yeah, we would.
Not this season.
No, we wait for another
season.
Yep.
Wait for another season.
So, what else is on your list? Your bucket list for the Disney area?
One left.
DNA.
Yeah, Victoria and Albert. We had it booked.
Yeah.
One's got club level at Jumbo come through, so it was at the end of a long and exhausting trip. So I decided that wasn't the best time for that meal. So I was thinking today, I didn't even tell Glenn this yet, but
Late breaking news.
so we want to do a resort only stay when the Poly Tower comes.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good time
That would be
to
nice.
do because it would be relaxing.
Could walk
Right
back.
over,
there.
walk right over, walk right back.
It's a great
I
idea.
heard it's only a 3-minute walk.
Yeah, according to Glen.
Actually,
30
that
seconds.
probably
From the
is.
tower, it probably
Walk.
is. From the
That
tower, it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right on the wedding pavilion.
So I thought
Right.
that would be a good time to try.
I don't know if we lost Dave. Dave, are you still there? I think we lost Dave.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I'm
why-
here.
a lot of fish talk and food talk. Well, Dave likes fish. There was almost no veggies there, Dave.
That's good. That's a good thing. I
You would
love the fact that Kurumi, when you were asking about the potato, she went and got the recipe for you. She must have thought you loved it.
No, she knew we didn't love
No,
it,
she
but
knew we didn't love it, and she went back. She was like, "I don't know. I'm
okay.
going to go find it." She came back with like a note
it was
card in
handwritten.
handwritten Japanese, and then in top in English, calcium hydroxyoxynate.
Because I think the chef probably wrote it to her in Japanese, and she had to sit there and like write it out
Right. In English.
Come back to us and show us.
What am I going to say to these
She
people?
researched something else also. You wanted to know about like why the sake was named some. He asked like, the worst
IWA.
questions to these poor people that are taking care of us.
Yeah, so one of the sake's name was IWA, and it was all capitalized. And she had mentioned something about 3 rices that it was going. I was like, "Oh, are the 3 rices? Do they start with I, W, and A?" And she was like, "I have no idea. Let me go ask somebody." So I started Googling as well, and no, IWAI is a region near it. I don't know. This is just it had nothing to do with
Basically
anything.
tortured the poor girl and then
Aw.
helped her before we left. So
All right.
she only
Well-
has 2 months till she goes back to Japan.
Hopefully that guy doesn't come back.
Dave, as of our Epcot episode, you're paying for me to go there, right? So, are we good?
Yeah, just don't get the pairing. That'll keep it down. a little
Okay,
bit.
keep it down.
Keep it reasonable.
Yeah, make it more reasonable. Do you get
Okay.
with that extraordinary amount of money that you pay for that? Did you get a meet and greet with the chef by any chance?
No, but I'm sure we could have asked.
Mm-hmm.
In every other
Pitch.
restaurant I've eaten at that, like that, if you request it, they'll usually bring you into the kitchen.
Is that right?
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We didn't ask.
We were aware that we were the last people in the restaurant and likely the last people in Epcot. So we were like, "Okay, goodbye." And she was like, "Wait, I have one more thing for you." I was like, "We're trying to help
and
you
we
out."
didn't she was asking what our trip was for, and Glenn explained that like we were there with his kids and his mom, and it was a special trip for him or whatever. So she brought us out extra glasses of champagne to celebrate
Aw, that's
our-
sweet.
special trip. And then
Aw.
there was rock candy in it, and Glenn thought he lost a tooth.
Yeah, who puts rock candy? Tiny little white rock candy the size of a tooth in. I didn't think it was my tooth. Like Karumi had lost a tooth or something like that. I didn't know what was
He
happening.
spit it out and gave it to
Like,
me. He's
what
like,
is this?
Why are you giving me your tooth?
I was like, "There's a blue one in yours."
That's weird.
I didn't know what was happening there.
It was rock candy.
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice. Very
All
sweet.
right. So Takumi-Tei, Dave, you're taking me when we go. We'll take Rich. We'll see. I want to hear Rich's review of that meal.
Absolutely not.
There were so many sneers.
There's so many jellies. No schmears.
The jellies, yeah. When Jen Wynn came back from Japan, she said that Kent was not into the jelly texture either. So
There's
yeah.
so many jellies. Everything they made into a jelly.
Oh well. Thank you, Rebecca and Glenn, for sharing your experiences with Stand by Skipper and Takumi-Tei. We did make it work. We didn't know how we were going to segue, but we did it.
I don't know what we did, but okay. You got to
And,
listen to it either way. You're going to hit the pause button. What are you going to do?
And hopefully you'll get to Victoria and Albert soon.
Yes, we'll be back with your report. And you still owe me the money for that bill. Thank you.
What bit?
Good coming up for Takumi-Tei. You know,
Oh, yeah.
We don't
Call-
come for free.
Call Rich. He'll take care of you.
Nope.
Who is this guy? His name's Gavin. So,
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We appreciate it. That was awesome. That was a great experience you guys had, and I'm glad you guys got to do it finally. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for this week's Disney Crush podcast. So until next week, say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.